Guys, welcome to my pre-let's play of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I say it's a pre-let's play because this episode is solely dedicated to showing what kind of character I'm gonna have, as well as explain some things about the character sheet because it might seem very confusing at first, especially if you're watching this let's play and you've never played the game in your entire life. So that's one of the reasons why I want to do that. So let's start with a new game. And I already know what kind of character I want to create. By the way, on the screen it said embrace is the act of turning a human into a vampire. In this game you have two ways of creating a character. You can do a questionnaire, or you can go directly to the character sheet and actually make your character yourself. You can still edit the character sheet even if you did the questionnaire, so don't worry about, the questionnaire being permanent. It's not really. For me, you see, it's kind of useless to do the questionnaires. I already know what answers to what questions will give me what kind of character. So yeah, I'm just gonna skip. And I'm already on my way to getting my character already. So for those of you who are new to this game, I'm gonna explain a whole lot of things in here. Like, what is this humanity thing? What are these masks for? But first of all, I want to explain the differences between some of the character selections you can make. Specifically, let's start with this base screen. You have the option, obviously, of gender, your character's history. Oh, actually, by the way, I have the unofficial patch, the plus version, so the history part, it doesn't come into the vanilla version of the game. That's something the patch adds. But basically, it's a sort of a way to sort of have some, I guess, semi-role-playing options, but also some of it also affect the gameplay in the sense that you can get either different stat points to disperse, and by stat points I mean these things that it says over here, how much you can spend in each category. For example, right now when I'm at none, like my talents, I can only spend 2 on talents, 3 on these skills, and 1 on knowledge. But let's say I select, I think it was this one, environmental activist. They kind of swapped, as you saw, because that's what this thing does. It swaps the priority order of my abilities to knowledge, talents, and skills. And stuff like that. So that's something pretty neat. And the clan. The clan is basically the variety of a vampire you are. And we have a bunch of these. I'll just start from the very top. So these are our Bruja. That's how the guys and the gals look like. They look like you're gangsters here, or mafia or something. I might be wrong, but basically you're kind of like rebel character. So Bruja. Bruja are passionate idealists and rebels. Duh. You can already tell by the appearance that they're rebels. Also the way they stand. More likely to fight for their rights than write protest songs. In life, most Bruja sought social change, and in undeath, most clan members commonly seek the creation of a vampiric utopia. As militant radicals, they are renowned for their combat skills, but are also more likely to frenzy due to their hot-bloodedness, so to speak. They receive a +1 to their unarmed feat, but are penalized with a -2 to all frenzy checks due to their zealous nature. So, in this game, and I'm going to be explaining now because I kind of want to get very quickly through the tutorial part of the game and reach the main story and stuff like that, so that's why I'm doing this as a separate thing, in case you want to familiarize yourself with the game. But basically, in this game, since you're a vampire, you have to get blood. And you use blood to use your skills, vampiric skills. Those skills are going to be different depending on what clan you are, so the clan does matter. Also, another thing is that the clan does affect some of your playstyles or how you will speak to certain characters. and we'll see that in a minute. But anyway, back to the frenzy thing. So if you're very low on blood, your character can frenzy. Basically, you will lose control of your character, and they will start either attacking or trying to get blood from other people or your enemies. You can sometimes do that in this game. And you have no control over that. And it's really bad because you're not supposed to be feeding in front of people. You're supposed to be doing it in secluded areas where no one else can witness that, oh, you're a vampire. I must notify the authorities or kill you or something. Yeah. So that's basically what frenzy means. And I guess it means that they're more likely to frenzy, meaning the rate at which they tend to frenzy when you're low on blood is probably far more frequent than it is normally. Because even if you're low on blood, there's a chance that you may not frenzy. So you can somewhat go around without it, but not always. And now back to the other thing, the feat. So feats are these things. Basically, they're your overall skill. If these are the specifications of those skills, these are the general overall skills. And we'll get them in a moment as well. So anyway, those are the Bruja. Now the next clan are Gangrel. So, FYI, in the vanilla version of the game, they don't really crouch like that. This is something the patch for some reason edited. But yeah, originally they're not quite like this. They took the animation from another clan called the Nosferatu. But anyway, Gangrel. Gangrel are wild loners that are the most in tune with the beast within. The beast is a lore thing. The game will explain to you in the beginning what the beast is. So for now, let's just leave it at that. The beast is basically whatever helps you to frenzy. In short-term explanations. Anyway, allowing them to shapeshift into more beastly forms. Nomadic in nature, Gangrel care little about vampire politics and prefer to dwell and hunt in the outskirts of society. Because of their animalistic nature, they receive a +5 to strength, stamina, and wits during frenzy. However, because of their inherent feral nature, Gangrel receive a -1 on all frenzy checks. So I guess they're more likely to frenzy, maybe. I'm not sure exactly what the difference between that and the Bruja is. Also, the history part is gonna be different from clan to clan, by the way. I think. Yeah, it does. See, if for Gangrel you had close to the beast, for Bruja, you have the all-star athlete, academic, and stuff like that. So that's neat. The next clan, the Mulcavian, with an ice cream, I think, over there as their logo. They're very, weird people. The weird clan people. You can already tell by the way they dress, unfortunately. They're called the Mulcavians. So Mulcavians are known as lunatics because of their ability to hear voices of insight and subject others to insanity through their discipline called dementation. Discipline is basically vampire magic equivalent. Powers. There you go, powers. The world appears much different to the Malcavian than it does to the sane clans, though the extent of a Malcavian's madness depends on the individual. A blessing and a curse, a Malcavian's insanity will help or hinder them, depending on how much they struggle against their nature. Malcavians start with a +2 to inspection, so basically they have great perception because of their madness. But yes, those are our mad people. Then we have the Nosferatu. Yeah, they look terrifying. So, you can already probably tell how this is gonna change the way you're gonna play and interact with characters, because I doubt a lot of people will be too receptive to, seeing someone like that come up to you and be like, hey, wanna get some drinks with me? Or something? I don't know. Also, something interesting that I do sort of know is that, there is a movie called Nosferatu, some kind of old movie. I never seen it, but I assume the name actually probably exists somewhere in some folklore or mythology, I assume. So that's something interesting, and I wonder if it's connected to the movie or not, but because in that movie they also had the hideous kind of vampire, the Nosferatu, so there you go. Anyway, so Nosferatu, hideous, skulking, and powerful. Even in a world of monsters, the Nosferatu stand out. The embrace twists and deforms their physical features, forcing them to seek sanctuary underground. Nosferatu are the masters of shadows. Due to their curse, Nosferatu have a seduction of 0 and can never raise it higher, and they hide their existence from common humans. Having shared the darkness with vermin for so long, vampires of Clan Nosferatu are able to draw extra nourishment from rats. Yes, in this game you can feed on rats. That's a thing if you're low on blood and you cannot find a suitable human to drink from. You just go into, well, stinky places and just feed on rats. Usually they give you 1 point of blood, though, per rat. Nosferatu get 2. And considering that there's usually a lot of rats, that's a pretty good deal for a Nosferatu. And next one, the Toradors. You have a fancy rose over there, so I guess they're your flirty people. I don't know. If the rose is anything to go by. Anyway, the Torador picture themselves as artistes, I don't know, or artistes, and visionaries. And they value the high society mentality that the Camarilla reinforces. Camarilla is one of the factions in this game, one of the most visible factions in this game that you will frequently interact with. Of all clans, the Torador are the most connected to the mortal world through arts and entertainment. Torador are beautiful creatures, svelte and seductive, and move almost effortlessly through the society of the living. The Torador's empathy is both a gift and a burden. All humanity shifts are doubled. Humanity is another gameplay mechanic in this game because some of the decisions you make will, especially moral decisions, will affect your humanity and how much more or less of it you'll have. And if I remember correctly, it does also affect some of your dialogue options and the way those dialogue options are phrased. In a lot of cases where your character can sound extremely heartless, the less humanity you have. So that's something to watch out for. Now, the next clan, the Tremere, with a fancy something symbol. So you have this lady, and then you have this gentleman over there. The Tremere, blood sorcerers born for mystic rituals and diablerie, or diablerie. The Tremere are the least trusted of the Camarilla clans. The ritual the Tremere used to transform from living mages into undying monsters, strip them of their magic arts. To compensate, the vampires of Clan Tremere developed thaumaturgy, the powerful discipline of blood magic. The clan guards its secrets jealously and are the only kindred to wield this powerful discipline. The pursuit of arcane knowledge comes before all else, and the reliance upon it has weakened the bloodline. Tremere can raise no physical attribute above 4 points, so they're very dependent upon their primary discipline's powers, more or less. And then last, the Ventrue. You get this guy being all serious and fancy, semi-fancy, because he's wearing a t-shirt. And then you have this lady, who's all suave and everything. The Ventrue. Truly the upper echelons of society, the Ventrue are seen as the honorable and virtuous leaders of the Camarilla. They wholeheartedly support the Masquerade. FYI, the Masquerade are basically vampiric laws, and this thing over there, also FYI, represents on how many times you can break the Masquerade before it's game over. If you break all of 5 Masquerade laws, generally it could be, like, for example, repeatedly being caught while feeding on a human being, that will break the Masquerade. So, also some dialogue options for certain quests can also break the Masquerade. So, watch out that you don't reach 0, because otherwise it's game over. So there you go. Anyway, they wholeheartedly support the Masquerade, influencing the mortal and undead worlds to help them maintain the Masquerade, as well as garner support for themselves. Clan Ventrue is an exclusive and powerful gathering of immortals, and even the lowliest initiate of Clan Ventrue can expect special treatment in Kindred society. Kindred basically means vampires. This regal bloodline, however, gains no nourishment from the lowborn and thin-blooded. Ventrue gain no blood from feeding on animals. Feeding on low-life humans, like prostitutes and the homeless, can cause the Ventrue to vomit, which means you can never, ever get blood as a Ventrue from rats, prostitutes, homeless, etc. Only, like, very, I guess, middle to upper class people, if you want to put that kind of description on it. So anyway, those are the Ventrue. Now, the character I'll be playing as in this game is a Gangrel, a female Gangrel, and I'm not gonna read every single history thing, so I'm just gonna immediately just read one. The one I did choose is Close to the Beast. So this is the history I'm gonna stick with. After you were embraced, you were naturally more in tune with the beast within, and that affinity is now physically apparent. You can advance easier in protein, but others, especially kind, will find your appearance distasteful, so you can't raise it above 3. And that's fine, because I'm not gonna be doing any seducting or anything like that. And protein is one of the disciplines, or powers, that Clan Gangrel have. And I have the fancy wolfy icon. Ooh, lovely. Anyway, so I already know what kind of character I'm creating. So that's very simple. I'll just put everything where I want it to be. Give me a moment, and then I guess I'll just walk through regarding what each of these things mean. There you go, that's my character. Okay, let's start with the feats, since I kind of skirted very quickly over them. So as I said before, feats are basically your primary skills that will affect, for example, your success rate at actual lockpicking, or hacking, or how effectively you'll be sneaking overall. However, if you hover over one category, you'll see on the left side some sections get highlighted in yellow. And it basically means that if you raise either security or dexterity, your lockpicking will increase. So it offers this sort of flexible way of leveling up your skills. And also, you don't actually have levels in this game. That's also something neat. And you gain experience points, which will appear over here once you do start the game. But those experience points are only earned through quests. Well, most of the time through quests. And those experience points directly get invested into these skills. Right now, it says remaining points 0. That basically means how many experience points it requires to raise a certain skill. So you're gonna have to watch out for that a lot, especially because the more you're invested into a skill or an attribute or whatever. Fine, a sub-skill is what I'm gonna call them. A sub-skill. The more experience you actually need to raise it further and further and further. So you also gotta watch out for that. In this game, however, you have this attribute called Research and Inspection. Or rather, 2 feats, Research and Inspection. Research basically allows you to gain some of these skills for free by reading books. And Inspection will allow you to find special items. I believe with the patch, I think a lot of items are invisible if your inspection is low. So it made it this way, which is pretty neat, actually. Because before, I think in the vanilla version, what it did before is it just highlighted items with like blue particles, but if you had low inspection, you would still be able to find the item, you just wouldn't see the particles. But the fact that they, I think they did this invisibility thing, if I understood this correctly. I might be wrong, but I always had that impression that I cannot find items because my inspection is too low. But anyway, it's neat if they did do this way with the patch. Okay, so those are our feats. One thing I do want to explain is that this thing called soak, it basically means your defenses when you're wearing mostly armor, except bashing. Bashing, as you can see, you can increase it by leveling up your stamina. Others, as you can see, nothing gets highlighted because those are influenced by your armor. You also have combat defenses, which are only influenced by wits and dodge. I don't exactly know how that works in relation to soak and stuff like that, but I do assume it works, so whatever. And that's about it for the feats section. And these, it's pretty self-explanatory. You also highlight, for example, over, let's say, strength, and you see on the right what it levels up, like unarmed combat, melee, dexterity, lockpicking and sneaking, etc., and you can keep going. So these are very self-explanatory. Like scholarship will level up your persuasion and research, stuff like that. Oh, actually, I think I probably want a scholarship more, because I do want research. There you go. Now, the one thing I do want to explain in detail, the last thing that's left, are disciplines. So, because I'm a Gangrel, my disciplines are going to be different from other clans. Some disciplines are shared by some clans, like I believe the Nosferatu also have Fortitude and some of the Animalism. They don't have Protein, though, because Protein is a Gangrel thing. But some other disciplines get shared. And this thing doesn't tell you, but you get 2 disciplines that every clan has, which is called the Blood Buff. And because I have the plus version of the unofficial patch, Blood Heal. So basically, Blood Heal, you spend some blood points, you heal your character for X amount of things or in X amount of time. And Blood Buff increases your strength, dexterity, and stamina, I believe by 2 points temporarily. And that's really useful if you're trying to lockpick something that otherwise you don't have enough skill for, or I guess to increase your strength to do extra more damage and stuff like that. So you can create some pretty interesting combinations with your basic disciplines along with your clan-based disciplines. So anyway, let's go forward with the first discipline, Animalism. Animalism, embracing the beast within, the vampire can call on animal spirits to carry out their will. The facts of animalism are obviously supernatural and carry the risk of violating the masquerade if they are used in a safe area. So in this game, you have some areas that are designated as combat area, where you can freely use whatever your discipline without breaking the masquerade law. And then there's other 2 area types. One of them is like, if you use certain abilities, you can break the masquerade and it's going to be bad for you. And then there's like the Elysium, I think it's called, area, which basically means you cannot use any skill whatsoever except Blood Buff for lockpicking. And that's about it. Or rather, during lockpicking, I think it said. So those are basically your 3 area categorizations, and you do get an indicator that tells you if you can use certain stuff or not, and stuff like that. Anyway, so in Animalism, you have different spells, different extra powers. As you can see, it changes with the level. For example, at level 1 you have Night Wisp Ravens, but if you invest into level 2, you'll still have Night Wisp Ravens, you'll just get an additional spell called Barwing Beetle, and so on and so forth. For Fortitude and Protein, however, it's the same single spell, it just increases with, with the effects that it does from the base spell that you have originally. Okay, I'm doing a bad explanation, but basically it enhances your current spell. There you go. So I'll start off with some of the Animalism skills. So at level 1, you have Night Wisp Ravens. Basically, you spend 1 blood in order to basically summon ravens to confuse your target. And that's really useful if you're sneaking, because the target won't go into an alert state. They'll just freak out for a second, and then you can just do whatever you want. The rest of them, however, they're all attack powers. Like Burrowing Beetle, which is a bone crunch, which summons a bone-crunching beetle, or rather swarm of beetles. Actually, maybe it is a single beetle, which flies to the victim, causing damage as it burrows deep into their body. Then you have Spectral Wolf. You basically get a wolf that attacks their target kind of from behind, I think. And then it returns to the ether once it does its job. Then you have the Bloodsucker Communion, which is a really useful power. It basically summons bats that can drain blood from your target. And you get some of that blood back, which is really neat if you're running low on blood and you don't see a target that you can actually feed upon. Because some of the targets you can't successfully feed on them. I think it's also governed either by your strength or dexterity or something. I don't exactly remember. I think it might be strength. But yeah. Then you have, after that, the last skill is Pestilence. So you basically summon an insect swarm that devours the flesh of our target and possibly kills them. Oh, but it descends upon all victims in an area. Sorry, it's an area spell. I was wrong for a second. Okay, so the next discipline is Fortitude. Fortitude allows for amazing displays of preternatural constitution. Guarantees a certain amount of damage from every incoming attack will be ignored, regardless of the source. The use of Fortitude is not considered a violation of the Masquerade, so I assume you can use it freely even in areas where you're around people. And for Fortitude, it's pretty self-explanatory. It basically buffs your soak feats, which are these things, by certain points. At level 1, it just does 1 point, and then it increases by a point the more invested you are into Fortitude, until you've reached the maximum of 5. Now, Protein is going to be an interesting one as a Gangrel. So Protein, by embracing the beast within, the vampire gains bestial forms and abilities. These effects are readily apparent and supernatural in nature. Protein should therefore be used with discretion in safe areas, lest you risk violating the Masquerade. And you do get, and the more you invest into Protein, actually, the more beastly your character will look. That's something neat to know as well. So at level 1, you get +1 bonus to wits, and you gain a heat vision. At level 2, however, your hands change to deadly claws that deal aggravated damage. And if you want to know what aggravated damage is, when you highlight it says, your ability to shrug off damage from claws, fangs, fire, and electricity. Aggravated damage is deathly serious. Vampires can defend against claws and fangs with their combat defense feat, but are helpless against fire and electricity. Aggravated damage can be soaked through supernatural means only. Lethal. Then you have also bashing and lethal. Lethal is more from bladed weapons, and bashing is more from bullets and blunt melee weapons, like bats, I guess hammers or something. But anyway, so also FYI, when you're in your Protein form, you cannot use any other weapons except your immediate unarmed combat, which is why I'll be going into unarmed combat, because I want to take my full advantage of the Protein form, especially because of my history background, which will make it easier for my character to level up their Protein skill, which is something I definitely want to do. Now, at level 3, you gain a greater bestial power. You get +2 to stamina, which is neat because it levels up our defense. Great in combat. At level 4, you gain more animalistic power. You get +4 to strength. So basically, I'll be a death machine with this thing on. And then, At level 5, you get your war form. You assume a war form with increased brawl damage. Costs 1 blood per activation. And basically, I'll be the killing machine if I reach my war form, which is what I do intend to do. So anyway, so this is my character. I also want to point out that in this game, even though you have a lot of skills and a lot of usage for persuasion, keep in mind that you cannot really play that much further into the game if you do not invest into your combat skills. And I believe the one character does point that out in the beginning of the game. Maybe a little too softly, but he kind of does say something along the lines of that. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's about it, really. That's basically what the character sheet is. I believe I explained most of the things, and I showed you what I'm going to be investing in. So this is it for the tutorial thingy, and you can see why I made it separately. It took me like 30 minutes just to showcase my character and explain what I'm doing with my character. Like I'll be doing stealth, I'll be doing protein, I'll be doing, in the beginning of the game especially, I'll be investing more into lockpicking, hacking, and persuasion because it's more useful there than the further you are into the game. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And that's about it. So anyway, thank you for watching. So the next video is officially the first episode, and we're gonna kick off right into the game, and I will breeze through very quickly through the tutorial since I already explained everything anyway. And the reason why I'm doing the tutorial is because you get 1 item from it that you would have to otherwise buy, plus you get free experience points essentially, and well, free extra experience points, so why not do it? Really. And also it will explain some lore that I did not explain in this episode, because I'm not quite the lore person, and I'd rather that the game explain it to you more in detail than what I did. But for gameplay purposes, to understand what's going on over here, what I did will have to do for now. But you'll get it as we go along into the game. But anyway, this is a completely optional episode. You don't have to watch this episode, or rather watch this video to start watching the actual Let's Play and stuff like that. So anyway, I will showcase this just in case in the beginning of the next episode, just to show where I spec my character and stuff like that, and that's it. Anyway, thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you officially in the first episode of this game. Bye bye!